And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
I grew up having to be ashamed of who I am because society often told me that it wasn't the right way to be.
Yeah.
So I never really developed my own voice. And I find that...
Well, we're just going to be really brief. You developed a really significant voice in your vortex, in your vibrational reality. When you are not allowed to be who you really are becomes very, very strong. You just have to figure out a way to let that strong being come further forward. Yeah.
And I find that when I'm in a room with someone, I be who they need me to be, but I don't have sometimes I feel like I have so much more to offer if I could just feel comfortable letting who I really am.
Well, it's not a bad thing to be a harmonizer and to be seeking harmony. It can get extreme, can't it, though, when you don't let yourself be who you really are and instead you be who someone else needs you to be. That's not good for you, and it's not really good for them either, because they just become more demanding of more people. Imagine everybody running around needing everybody else to be who they need them to be, and then nobody's being who they really are. Sort of the way it is, isn't it, to a certain extent?
It really is.
So talk to us a little more.
I feel that my calling is to help people, to heal people. That's where I get the most enjoyment. I'm a very big calming influence.
Well, now let's talk about that. Do you think that your realization and your desire to be helpful to others is part of what has caused you, rather than picking a fight with someone, you're a soother?
Yes.
And so maybe that hasn't been such a bad thing for you to develop those skills of harmony. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that you're off of what your desire is?
I feel like at times that if I could show people who I truly am, that I could help them more.
Well, who are you truly? In light of what we've been talking about here, who you truly are, knowing what you don't want causes you to know what you do want, and so you create this vibrational reality. We haven't talked about that here today, but if you've been listening to us for a while, you know this story well. So you've created a vibrational version of yourself by all of the improvements going into this amended vibrational version of who you really are. And so do you accept that you have created a vibrational version of who you are? Isn't everything a vibrational version in the process of being realized? We've been talking about getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. So do you accept that there is a vibrational version of you? When someone's rude, you want them to be nicer. When you're rude, you want to be nicer. When you're confused, you want more clarity. When you don't have enough stamina, you want more stamina. When you become impatient with people, you want to be more patient with people. In other words, you've created this teacher being who you really are in this vibrational version, and that vibrational version is in the process of becoming thoughts that turn to things, and you're the thing that you want these thoughts to turn to. Yes?
Yes.
And so do you accept that who you really want to be being exists?
Yes.
You tell us, what's the path to letting that part of yourself out? How do I let who I really am out? How do I let that part of me come to the party? Well, stop bringing the other part so often. Stop bringing the insecure part or the kowtowing part, which means get your momentum going before you show up where they are. And when your momentum is going, then you're stable. You don't need their approval to be who you are. You're tuned in and you're focused upon them. And then the inspiration for the meaningful things to them flows through you. You know, you're hitting on something really important. The most crippling effect for a powerful teacher, and so many of you have come into this experience wanting to uplift and as powerful teachers, the most crippling and self-induced effect for a teacher is to be so observant of where a person is that you can't get past it. Who they are and how they feel is so obvious to you, and you've been such a chameleon in observing who they are that you've separated yourself from your inner being's version of who they are, and that's not comfortable to you. So can you kind of hear that what we're saying to you is, for you to be of greatest value to them, you've first got to harmonize between you and you. which means you've got to be able to see them as your inner being sees them, not as your physical eyes see them. And that's not the easiest thing, because most people work very hard to show themselves to you in a way. And they try to convince you about their frailties and their insecurities and their deficiencies and their sicknesses. Have you ever been around someone who wasn't feeling that good and they just won't let it go? They just keep explaining to you how hard their life is and how bad they feel. And you have to be pretty strong to not just cave in and agree with them. Yeah, you're a mess. You're probably going to die. Because they're very convincing, because they feel it in such a strong way. So the question is, which momentum within you is going to be the strong one? The momentum between you and the harmony of your inner being, where you know their ability, you know what could be, you know what their desire is. Are you going to fixate on their vortex version, or are you going to focus with them on their reality version? And how you feel, your satisfaction factor, has nothing to do with them, which sounds strange. Your satisfaction factor, which means your success factor in any moment, has only to do with how well you harmonize with your inner being's version of your object of attention. So you could say to them, pardon me, I'm going to tune out and not really listen to your complaints about yourself, because there's another version of you that is more satisfying for me to tune into. I want to tune in to what's coming for you, not what is. And I want to see you in your wellness, not in your sickness. I want to be of value to you. And you may not know this about me, but I'm connected to this huge stream of non-physical healing energy. And when I connect to it, my power of influence is really wonderful. But if I let you convince me how broken you are, I can't focus on how broken you are and how well you are becoming at the same time. I got to pick one. So you could say to them, which one do you want me to pick? You want me to complain with you, or do you want me to hook up to the source energy that's helping you? It can't be any clearer than that. A lot of that you don't want to say out loud to them, because they'll think you're nuts. But you got to know it, because if you let them convince you that you should give them in their current form your undivided attention, you can't help them. And that's what makes you feel like you're not fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Really helpful, huh?
Thank you.
Enough?
Yes.
Really
thank
good.
You.
You told me last time that I was comparing myself too much to other masters, and that that's not relevant because this time space reality is different and I'm doing new things than what they were doing. But I use them as influence and motivation, and I do kind of find myself comparing myself to them. And then I notice that, and I'm able to just be like, okay, what am I doing right here and now? But if we could just, like that Amma, for instance, like when I looked into her eyes, I saw the same feeling that I feel with inside her. But how come she's able to touch so many people, or they see it more? Like I wanna help people and influence people and be the love, and have people see that and feel that, not see it for me, but see it to help them move into a state of alignment just by looking at me. And how come she's able to do that so much?
What you're touching on here with the question that you've come back to a time or two or three here, and this matters a lot. What you are uncovering here for all of us to contemplate is such an important thing. And it's interesting the way this all dovetails together, because you're saying, we'll stand in your human shoes and say this, I want such alignment with my source that I can maintain that alignment and therefore be of value wherever I am. That's what you're saying. So now, that felt good and sounded good, and everything about that, there's a strong resonance, because that's what you all meant when you came. I'm going to connect with the source within me, and that's going to be my dominant relationship. And as I move with all of that empowerment and all of that leverage, I'm going to feel good and I'm going to be of value to ever. It's the ultimate uplifter's mantra. But then, for just a moment, you took your eye off the only thing you have control over, which is your relationship with your inner being, and you tried to evaluate the result that someone else was getting from you. in which you are powerless. Now you're focused upon their receiving of you. You can only focus upon what you are aligned with and therefore what you are radiating. And it is none of your business how they respond to you. And in the moment that you make their response to you your business, you lose your connection.
So just be it.
Yeah. Yeah. As humans, you are accustomed to measuring results all the time. I do this and what's the result, and I do this and what's the result, and I do this and what's the result. And we're not differing from that. We just want the result that you're reaching for to be the feeling of alignment, not some physical response from some other. Can you feel the difference? It's so big. In the moment that what they do or what they think about your alignment comes into question, then you're really not in the alignment that you seek to be in. Yeah, really good conversation. We think this is a really good time for a segment of refreshment.